Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is the general manager of multiple editions of Community Impact News. She started her career in journalism in 2009, moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area in 2010, and was a marketing communications coordinator. She also worked as an account director with world-renowned PR Newswire, where she helped PR agencies and Fortune 500 companies. She is a graduate of the Texas A&M University, a native Spanish speaker, loves hot tea, Nutella, exercising, cooking for loved ones, and she says she has never met a dance floor she didn't like. She is a huge community advocate, serves on the Grapevine Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, as well as Grace Board of Directors and Committees. And a fun fact, she won Best Dancer at the 2018 Rotary Club of Colleyville's annual fundraiser, Dancing for the Stars. She is married to her college sweetheart, and together they have a 4-year-old daughter. Silhouettes, please help me welcome Anna Erwin to the show. Anna, hello. How are you?
Hi, Amber. I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. It is so cool to connect with you. Audience, get ready because she has the most contagious, enthusiastic energy of most anyone I've ever been around. So glad you're here with us.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Very cool. All right, my lady. So we like to kick off the conversations by having you share a little bit about your background and the shaping of your silhouette of success. So share a little bit of your journey with us.
Sure. I always have been a really ambitious person, and it's expressed itself in different ways. But one thing that really stood out to me when I was in college, I had this idea of there's so much media, there's so many news, and I thought to myself, and then I wrote a whole essay about it of it was like, in that moment, it was like, when I grow up, I want to have a magazine that only communicates good news. And I remember thinking like, that just doesn't exist. Positive news or things that aren't just the doom and gloom. And funny enough, I work for a publication now that I didn't realize existed that just gives people what you really need to know. But getting there was not, like an instant thing. I've had to take a lot of risks. I've had to really bet on myself. And it's funny because I think about all the times where I could have stayed so comfortable. And instead, it's like I make myself uncomfortable and challenge myself all the time. And it almost feels like I blinked and I got to where I am right now. But I've done a lot of different things that felt scary.
Yeah. Wow. What a journey. Thinking through that and, going back to maybe your college days, or maybe as you were preparing and looking at the options for your future, share with the audience, if you can remember, what compelled you to pursue that path that you were on in journalism.
Yeah. So at A&M, the journalism school has changed many times. And I found out going into my senior year that they were bringing back the journalism minor. And so I had to just pivot immediately. And I went to my advisor and I said, this is what I actually want to do. It just wasn't offered before. So they let me change. I started taking all the courses, and one of the requirements was you had to have an internship in some type of publication. And I applied to Insight Magazine, which is the local lifestyle magazine of the Brazos Valley. And I started writing all kinds of stories. And this was when the real estate crisis was going on of 2008. And one of my first stories was writing about the mortgage crisis. And I was in college. I was a senior in college and I had no idea what I was even writing. But I think what really stood out to me was just listening to people and then telling their story. It doesn't matter if it's about the mortgage crisis or about a nonprofit, just really being a good listener. And so the more that I wrote, then I took on different stories and I was writing every single story in the publication basically. And I was an intern. So I got really, really good experience there. That was a good way for me to start. But I also was told at the same time, because the recession was so intense in that moment, you will never work in journalism. This is just a dream. There are no journalism jobs. So you're basically not going to have a job. And I still remember when that counselor told me that at A&M, and it was a little bit of fuel in my fire of, okay, yeah, I don't have to receive that, but I appreciate that. And so then I did what a lot of people did around that time. I applied to a lot of different jobs. I was incredibly blessed to get my first professional job the day after I graduated college. And I moved up to DFW by myself and got an apartment in Plano because I couldn't afford to live in Dallas. And started doing marketing. And I just always knew, though, that whatever I was doing, I wanted to commit for several years, but it was going to be just gaining experience until I could get back into journalism.
That is crazy exciting. And I tell you, here's another inside tip and fun fact is a lot of times I go through and just based on whether I know the guest very well or whether I know of the guest or whether we are meeting ourselves for the first time, I go through and I write some notes and just what I've observed. And a good listener was on my list for you. I had no idea that was not in your bio that I remember. So, that is so fun for me. You have had quite a journey, and I like that a couple bullet points here. I wanted you to expand on any of them. The fuel for you when someone says, and you mentioned earlier, and I know the silhouettes were listening, you said you're ambitious. So when someone tells you no, I suspect that you are going to go for it even stronger.
Yeah. Yes. So, a fun fact, my family immigrated here in the year 2000. And so my mom is Mexican, my dad is Spanish, and they have sacrificed so much for my brother and I to basically live out the American dream. And so I think that growing up, I saw so many doors that closed for us, but then we always came out of situations, and just that resilience of moving to a new country and going through the immigration process and doing it legally and all the paperwork and all the things that you have to do. I think that ambition has grown for me and that I feel so incredibly grateful to be in the United States. And I just think that I just saw the sacrifice my parents made. So I've always wanted to just, go crazy. Like, they gave me this opportunity and I've had so many people help me that now that I'm in the position that I'm in, I just feel like I'm unstoppable and anything is possible to an extent. And so, but also hearing the no, I've heard no so much. When I hear no now, I'm just like, it's just a maybe later. Um, I just saw this meme the other day that was like, when a door closes, open a window or like, things like that.
Yeah.
It's just never, no's never super firm.
Listen to her dot, dot, dot. That's super firm for me. I think that is so cool. Okay, milady, the alarm clock goes off. Whatever that is that you use, maybe it's just the sunshine, maybe it's a barking dog, a child. The alarm clock. Your work or business day begins. What does a day in the life look like for you? Because the audience is always tuning in for best practices and how does she do it? How does she get all this thing, everything done? So, would you say you're structured? Are you spontaneous? Do you have a routine? Talk to us a little bit about some best practices that work for you.
Yeah, so it has to be a combination for me. I do like structure as much as I can do it. So the very first thing for me, even before my business day starts, I am an early riser, and I do need an alarm clock though. I'm not naturally waking up at 5 a.m. But in order for me to have a day where I really get things done well, I have to exercise. And it doesn't have to be something, where you burn 1,000 calories or something crazy. I have to do at least 30 minutes to really center myself. And the days when I don't do it, it's not good. So I know that I have to have 30 minutes of exercise, and then, all the normal things of getting ready, getting my kid out the door. That's always like an Olympic sport. And then starting my day. So I live and die by my calendar. And in my role, in my job as a general manager of two publications, I manage all the different aspects of the business. And I have to check in with different people all day, but no day looks the same. However, I'm always booking like 3 weeks out for everything that I'm doing. So I will open my calendar that day and I don't even remember what I booked for myself 3 weeks ago, unless it's something that I have to prepare for. So I'm literally, maybe it's a meeting with an advertiser. Maybe then we're meeting with the editorial team. And then maybe I'm going to a community event. But it's structured in that I schedule everything, but it's spontaneous in that at any given moment, something might pop up. There might be breaking news, and I need to go, drive somewhere with a reporter, and we need to go take pictures because something just happened. So I have to be flexible, but I'm also very structured.
It's exhilarating.
Yeah.
Uh, Right?
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. It just can be something. Something's going on. Oh, wow. So as such because again, I think the audience is picked up on your just dynamic and you're, just an energetic leader. Where do you turn to for support?
I'm really blessed that I have a very tight knit group of people in my life that are incredibly wise and smart and just really want the best for me. And, they say that there's that saying of you're a combination of like the six people that are always in your life. So the number one person that comes to mind is actually my husband. He is incredibly wise. He is the devil's advocate for everything. And so we've been married now for 10 years. And I say, like, if we weren't married, I should charge him because he's like my number one counsel. He's just a very, and he actually does that for a living. He coaches, um, admin staff like principals and superintendents at schools. So he's like my free help. He's great. Yeah. And then I have an amazing group of people around me at work that I've worked with for a very long time. My publisher, her name is Crystal Howard. She has been my boss for 10 years, and we've grown up in the company together. And I would say also even in life, but she's incredibly wise, the kindest person you've ever met. She believes in people so much. I can call her any day with, I have this situation. What would you do? And so that's the support that I have around me. But even something, this is going to be a little corny, but I keep a Pinterest board of inspirational quotes and Bible verses and just encouraging things that I'll go and look at every once in a while too when I need inspiration.
I don't think it's corny at all. We need those things. We need
Yeah.
those things. And again, that's what we're looking for. What works? Because we can all see, we see what the world shows us, right? With everything that we have access to and exposure with. But These are the behind the scenes kind of things. So no, that's great. We talked a little bit, and I say a little bit, just a smidgen of what you do with the community.
Mhm.
Where do you think, and I'm going to let you answer, I think I might have a hint of where you're going, but where do you think that drive to serve others and support the community comes from?
I think growing up, and we had people in our lives that really helped us adapt when we moved to the US. And so I think that, with some of the organizations that I'm a part of, like Grace, I see a lot of those families that we're serving, and I basically see myself in them. And so that drives me even more to serve and promote those organizations. And then also, my parents were small business owners when I was in high school and in college. And so I think that that's where I've gotten so involved with the business community and serving at the different chambers of commerce, and specifically the Grapevine Chamber, because I just have such a heart for small business, which is probably another reason I've stayed at Community Impact for as long as I have, because we're all about promoting small business and helping those business owners thrive. And you you just see the day to day of how difficult it is to run a business. And I remember my parents, they could never take a vacation, they could never take a day off. They would work from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. and just seeing what it takes, that I think that's where I just absolutely love to be in that environment and to have even the smallest impact in people, even if it means just making their day by being the one person that was nice to them.
It's great that you say that as well, because something about you, and again, I think it's so reflective in this conversation, is you have the ability just to brighten up anyone's day when you're around. You just have that contagious, I'm going to say it over and over, because you do. You've got
Thank
that. So,
you.
well, thank you. Because you're right. You just don't know if that one smile that you share is exactly what they have been craving,
Mhm.
right? You just don't know. When you think about different times, whether it's maybe today or whether it's just something bigger, has there been something like a barrier between you and a goal or a dream, and you felt really stuck and you needed motivation? Do you have any best practices? What works for you to kind of work through a barrier to get somewhere?
I always think about, it's funny because I can think of someone that's really close to me. Her name is Lexi, and she's going to hear this and she's probably going to laugh. We always, when we get stuck, we say, just remember one small bite out of the elephant, but we can never remember how the saying goes. So we'll just say elephant. Remember, think of the elephant. And so I will say, I feel like I do face a lot of challenges and barriers, like anybody running a business would, with all the surprises that come along with that. And I'm a very, I'll say my biggest strength is also my biggest area of opportunity. And that is that I'm extremely passionate. And so I've learned that I really need to take a step back, because I am somebody that will react right away. If it's putting out a fire, if it's positive or negative. So I've learned that I really need to step back. I need to clear my head. I need to give myself some time. I need to maybe go walk outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, because and then also if it's something that can wait overnight, everything feels better in the morning. And so giving yourself that time to really process through something. I think that we live in this world of urgency. Everything is so urgent that we think we have to answer every email, every phone call, every text right away. And if you can just give yourself more time, sometimes time is what you need to see that that barrier is maybe not that big. And also, you'll get different ideas of how to tackle it. And then also, I think remembering that, sometimes things feel like they're going to destroy you, but remembering those times and realizing you came around and you were just fine. I can think of certain times in the last 10 years while I've been at Community Impact that felt just like the worst days. And I still remember them because I look back on them thinking they weren't as big of a deal because I made it through.
Isn't that great? So that's going to lead me. I'm going to skip around real quick because let's stay in that train of thought. And this is probably more of a two-part question. Was there or has there been a specific point in time, event, or key situation in your professional life that forced you to take a monumental shift within that business or career? What was the result, positive or painful, and how did going through that help you grow?
Yeah, I'm sure you hear this a lot recently, but the
Yeah.
pandemic was brutal for us. And we had to shift every day. It's like we were shifting, right? The way that we are funded at Community Impact is through advertising, 100% advertising. And overnight, all of our customers were having to close down their businesses. And we lost over 50% of our revenue. And every single day I thought, this might be the end. This might be the end of this dream that I came on board when we had one publication in DFW. Now we have 10. And it was like that feeling of this might be the end for our baby. But every day was wake up and show your best face for your team, put out the best product you can, but with the feeling of, is this going to continue? And so I think I learned that I'm tougher than I think I am. I learned that if we overcame that, we can overcome anything. And then also leaning on the people closest to you. So we are a strengths based company. So we all take the Gallup Strengths Finders test, every single person in the company. So I know what the strengths are of all of my teammates and all my colleagues. So I'm able to tap in to their strengths that maybe I don't have. And so I think that we did a lot of that in 2020. And what's so amazing is we tightened up everything. We figured out, we had an amazing CFO at the time who really looked at what we needed to do to cut cost and how to make it. We restructure the company in a way that if anything like that ever happened again, we will make it. And what's so interesting is I ended up having one of my best years from a profit margin perspective because I made a lot of decisions that I never had to make before. And so I think I actually became a better business leader, I made better business decisions. And I remember it shocked me at the end of the year looking at the financials and going, oh my gosh, I learned so much and we made it through. And now the sky's the limit.
Goosebumps moment. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What a reflection of the hard work and the teamwork and the trust in each other and just downright grit, really going through that. We talked a little bit, and let's now stay with that too. In the intro, talked a very little bit, clearly, on your great achievements and some accolades throughout your journey. Is there one in particular that stands out that you're most proud of in your success that you'd want to talk about a little bit?
When I started at Community Impact, I basically just wanted to work in journalism so badly that I had my first interview and I didn't really understand what I was signing up for because I just wanted to work in journalism so bad. And I went through the process and I got in the company and turns out I was in sales, which I always said I would never do sales, but here I was. And so I started doing, taking care of the advertisers. And then a few years later, I did a good job there. And a few years later, I was asked to come on board as the general manager for our Grapevine Colleyville South Lake edition, which is one of our editions in Tarrant County. And I was asked to come on and see if it was salvageable because it was really struggling. And our owner, John Garrett, who's a brilliant man who I consider family, and my publisher, Crystal, said, we want you to go in there. And if you can't say that, we trust that we it can't keep going. So it's a huge responsibility, but it goes back to that trust. We're all about collaboration. And I went in going like, oh, I got this, like super cocky about it. And within 1 month, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And so, but what I'm really, really proud of is when I came into it, I was like, give me a few months, I got this. And then a few months passed and I was like, can I have a few more months? I got this. And then at the year mark, I remember sitting at this pizza place with Crystal, on the verge of tears and realizing like, Rome wasn't built in a day, but that was that was like 7 years ago. I am super proud of the fact that I went in, I was really humble and vulnerable, and I went to every person that we'd ever worked with, and I just said, look, I know that that we could do better, and I'm here, and I'm going to stick around, and I'm going to do better for you. And so I went on what I call the apology tour. And it's not that we were doing a bad job. It's just that we weren't doing what we really needed to be doing in the community. And so to the outside world, they probably didn't really notice, but we knew, in running a business, what numbers you need to be hitting and how best to serve the community. So I spent every waking moment. This was before I was a mom, so I had a lot more time. I spent every waking moment just pouring myself into the community. I went to every event. I was at every council meeting. I was going to the school board meetings. I was just all in. And I'm just super proud of the fact that we stayed. And when I would ask for more time from my publisher and our owner, I would say, I cannot imagine us not bringing the news to these residents in Grapevine, Colleyville, and Southlake because they deserve this. We need to do better because they deserve to know what's going on here. And so I'm just really, really proud that we saved that market, that I didn't give up, and that we're now in a place where that is one of our most successful markets.
Well, I'm really, really appreciate you sticking it out. And of course, how would I have known that story? But when it comes in the mailbox, it's one of the first things I go through immediately. And that's not just saying that to you on air.
Thank you.
It is legit. And I go from cover to cover and then I start backwards and then I go the other way. So thank you. All the graphs. I mean, audience, if you're not in the local market, then at the end, of course, she's going to share contact info and you can at least go and check out the awesome work that they're doing. So, Anna, we're going to take a quick break to hear from this episode's sponsor. We'll be right back.
Is it time to sell your home? Build that dream home? Right size? Or are you ready to invest in real estate? Couture Real Estate Firm is a local female-owned independent brokerage laser-focused on services exclusively tailored to our clients' real estate goals. With our forward-thinking business model, we have a fully mobile luxury real estate concept allowing convenience, flexibility, efficiency for our clients in style. Amber Weitzer, broker-owner of Couture Real Estate Firm, has over 20 years in the real estate industry and is a second-generation broker. She provides straightforward business practices, integrity, and intelligence with a commitment to a high-touch, consistent customer service experience. We take great pride in our reputation as a strong, referral-based brokerage. Discretion, tenacity, respect, and proactive business practices have earned Couture Real Estate Firm a loyal, repeat client business with a trusted global partner network. We strive for ultimate client satisfaction with successful results, doing it with class, consciousness, and a little avant-garde. In addition to serving our clients and vendor partners, we are extremely honored to be actively engaged in supporting the communities we serve by promoting small businesses, schools, and nonprofits. Real estate is direct sales business at its core, and we are highly trained sales professionals with the Mike Ferry organization, adding dimension to the industry. Passionate about customer service, dedicated to client satisfaction, and driven to achieve successful results for our clients. Call Couture Real Estate Firm today at 817-233-7239 to discuss your real estate goals.
And we're back. And thank you, because clearly, we have to pay bills. So you know how that is.
Oh, yes.
Okay, my lady. We all crave great resources. I know you've got one to share, but that do, just like you talked about back when you were, looking for something with only good news to share. So things that might inspire, uplift, expand our minds. Do you have a favorite book or resource or anything that you'd want to share with the audience?
Yes, I just finished a book that I'm really excited to tell you about
Okay.
because a few weeks ago, Kendra Scott came to town. She came to Southlake and she's promoting her new book. And I had the honor of meeting her. And I was trying not to be a fangirl. And she was wonderful. And she gave all of us who attended this event her book. And it's called Born to Shine. And I didn't really know what to expect. I am someone that knows she's an incredible businesswoman and I have worn her jewelry for years, but reading her book was incredible. I would recommend it to anyone. It was really inspiring to learn about the mission behind her business and how it's not about making jewelry, it's about bringing people joy and all the ways that her team is super intentional about that and about giving back. And then also reading about she had a lot of struggles to get to where she is now. I mean, she is a billionaire but it didn't happen overnight. And so reading her book, I cried 4 different times reading her book. I would say anybody that's listening, go read Born to Shine. She did not pay me to say that. I don't know her that well. But yeah, it's really good.
Well, I think that's the ultimate endorsement. So thank you for that. And I will make sure that I have the link for her book in the resource section. So, okay, milady, it has been absolutely awesome visiting with you today. And as we begin to wrap up and keeping the promise to share intentional inspiration, do you have a piece of key go-to advice that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, my go-to is one that I credit my publisher and friend, Crystal Howard. She taught me this a long time ago. And I think about it anytime I have to make a difficult decision is that you can never go wrong doing the right thing.
Whoa, profound.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, that is awesome. Wow. Words to live by.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, milady, this is completely your stage. So, where can our audience go to either find and connect with you, maybe on your socials, and support you in your continued success? Or feel free to share any contact information or website.
Yes, you can find me, Anna Erwin. It's ANAERWIN on LinkedIn. I love connecting with people on LinkedIn. And then as far as social media, you can follow Community Impact DFW on Instagram or Community Impact News, also on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. And our website, which is awesome, is communityimpact.com.
Fantastic. And I'll make sure we get all of those links into the resource section underneath your name and then, of course, Kendra's book. So, Anna, it has been delightful talking with you. Thank you for sharing your silhouette of success with us. You are a true light and inspiration for us all.
Thank you, Amber. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.